My organization, the way I primarily try to use it is to really make content pop. It's really what's beautiful about the tool is you can get in and build something really really simple, but you can do so much more with it. You can build full-fledged gaming environments inside of Storyline and knowing no code whatsoever. And that was kind of the draw for it for our team because we're not computer scientists, but we're a very creative group who is passionate about education, and we wanted to get like our hands involved in it right away. And so for us, Articulate and Storyline in particular was a perfect fit for that. I think right off the bat, it looks like you're in a PowerPoint experience, and so it's right away. It's very user friendly. Like you're not having to learn like a brand new interface. It doesn't behave like PowerPoint. It's quite different once you get into it. But I think that familiarity is really really useful because it just starts to build up some momentum. Just the ability to like again build triggers without knowing coding, without even knowing JavaScript. Of course, you have the ability to still use JavaScript to kind of go above and beyond some of the triggers that you may be interested in using, but it's a cliche to say it, but like it really is like limitless in what you can do. If you can conjure up the thought, odds are you can do it in Storyline with enough time, with enough expertise or training, and you can really push the envelope of what you're trying to do in your courses to again make content really explode for the user. I think my biggest wish for Storyline would be like the ability to save your state, like save a progress. Like you could say like in like a video game emulator on if you have a PC and you're running like the old Nintendo system, you can save your state exactly where you're at. Your points are there or whatever. The number of lines you have left, all of that stuff is there, and that's different in between say like a resume your state because that works well in Articulate. Where it starts to kind of get messed up is in the LMS when the two systems are communicating. We've had a lot of issues where a learner can go in and just simply resume later on. They hit the back button and all hell breaks loose. Things start to break. Scores are lost, or it only picks up from where they resumed. So we've had a lot of issues with that where if they could load in, say, a state that's been saved locally, they could load that in and their progress is there for them to continue whatever that experience is. Certainly continuing their point total, knowing the actual place in the say like the scenario that you're building and knows where like what scene they left off in, and that ability is like my number one wish and hope for Storyline because again now we're opening up elements into like other softwares like say Construct 3 where you can do that, but that requires a whole other level of expertise in using design and triggers and things like this. It's much more complex. With this, there's really no gaming or like a micro learning or gamification experience you could not build without that one feature. And I know there's ways to like code it in, but that's complex. And to me, that's something that would be so beneficial to have integrated into the Storyline. Probably like an 8.5 or 9. Yeah, really high. And again, just that one, it would just depend if it's something where someone's like trying to build out something that's too complex. I'd say, well, there's going to be a few limitations with it. But yeah, a very, very high score for sure. I think for us, like right now, we have someone who just started this week on our team. They've never used Storyline, and so like right now, I'm just starting to piece together like we've never had someone join the team with zero experience. Like the trainings that we've had for this are we're kind of moving backwards a little bit, and then trainings we're developing. But the ability to just do big or small is probably the easiest way I could explain it. If like it could be something as small as like a flashcard activity that now you can even just create with the AI assistant, or it could be something so much more complex. So we've built in JavaScript where we're able to like, I mean, random number generation. There's just so many things you can do. You can build something as simple as say like an Oregon Trail game up to an entire like sporting environment where you're actually simulating each player on the field, and you're simulating the way like the intelligence level of the player, the athleticism of that player, and you're able to just. So again, it can be so small and it can be so complex. It's just a matter of what you're trying to do. But really, it is like, and I didn't expect a piece of software to be so flexible without needing to know code. So I was just blown away that you can do all of this in Storyline in particular with no coding. I've used Adobe Captivate a little bit when we were kind of like comparing the two, and I'm a big Adobe supporter. Everything else we have a ton of Adobe stuff, but Storyline just felt more like how I said earlier about like you jump in and it's a PowerPoint environment. It looks really, really familiar. As much as I love Adobe products, like their interface is really confusing, whether it's Photoshop, like when you first get into it. And so if you've ever started off using anything Adobe, Illustrator, InDesign, any of those are like, they're really intimidating to people at first, especially people who are like kind of already hesitant about wanting to be trained up on something new. Storyline gives them that familiarity right off the bat. And I love that you're able to do that. So like, that's probably the biggest thing we compared it to. I mean, we used to develop media like this with an actual production team who were coders, and the stuff we got, it was 10 years ago, but it's nowhere near what we're able to do with people who don't know how to code. They're not computer scientists. So that ability right there, like that's the selling point for Storyline, is you can take somebody who's never used it, not a computer scientist, and they can go in and start building media and interactivity in a course right away. Yeah, tremendous amount. So my role as manager of e-learning, like what I'm trying to do is make courses pop and to really make it not forced. Like we don't want to, like I always say, it's like the icing on a cupcake. Like a cupcake's still really good, but it's so much better with the icing and the sprinkles and everything else on there. It's like, that's what we're using Storyline for. But it's so much more than that, because some cupcakes have like peanut butter on the inside or cream, and like, oh, those are the best cupcakes. And so like we're able to, like, we've revolutionized our bakery, so to speak, in instructional design work. And Storyline has been that vehicle that we've used to drive that. So there's just no question that it's like impacted our work. We've gone from doing really nothing beyond like really, really simple, like, oh, I made a flashcard activity, in 6 years or so with our team. We're doing things that are just like, wow, this is like really, really changing the way we design. It's changing the way we're doing assessments, especially. We're doing a lot of like, say, scenario-based assessment building, like putting learners in real-world situations, say like in a nursing course, where it's like you're able to kind of simulate like how to draw blood or something like this. And so we're able to create this entire environment. You're able to, I mean, minus the headset, you're able to create like these augmented and virtual reality situations without needing all of that extra tech. You're still able to put them in kind of in this first-person view, if that's the approach you want to take. So there's just so much flexibility. The other part I love, and I don't even know if this is part of the question, but like the e-learning heroes community is just so full of amazing ideas. If you just were to Google search like an issue you're trying to come up with, and you mentioned Storyline in there, it's going to direct you. Someone's probably attempted this already, has found success in it. And that's such a useful thing, because you can go in there. Oftentimes you can download their files, and you can use those files as like a base for where you want to start. And so it's remarkable how much is out there and how many people are using it. If you're in this industry and you're not using it, that you're missing out because of that. Like, you're not going to get the same Google searches with Adobe Captivate. This is what you need to be connected to if you're trying to do something different in learning and development. Aside from Storyline, we use Rise, and we interchange it a lot. So we are putting Storyline pieces into Rise. We are sometimes even taking Rise and connecting it into Storyline. We certainly use Articulate Review, which is really, really handy, because you can, of course, send out the links to an activity that you've been building, and you can get direct feedback right there. That even connects into your email if you want it to go that way. And so it creates this really nice seamless interaction with, say, your stakeholders on a particular project. So that's really, really useful. The AI assistant, we've just started to kind of dabble with. Obviously, that's a really new thing. Super excited to see what that can do. And I love that the AI assistant is all like in-house. It's already in the software. It's already there in Rise on the webware. And so it's so much easier, because AI is everywhere now. Around this conference, it's being used in everything. But one of the biggest challenges is it's all disconnected. It's all these different companies are doing it. And you want to get a character from here. You want to get their voice from this place. And so it's so nice to have this all like just wrapped up into one suite of software and webware that just works so well. I haven't used the what's the one for like the international, like it'll translate the SCORM packages and stuff. You mentioned it. It's the Reach. Yeah, I haven't used Reach, but just hearing that like you can take your SCORM package and have it like go out in like multiple languages is super cool. That's not something we do, but that's super cool. So yeah, definitely like the higher experience for the learner is the biggest thing. Storyline can be quick, but can also be slow. But like, don't let that be a deterrent, because if you're working through Articulate and it's kind of slow, that's probably a good thing, because you're building something that's going to impact that learning experience. And like, that's a huge proponent of. I'm very much quality over quantity. I would rather have someone work on an interactive piece in Storyline and if it takes them 2 or 3 weeks, sure, because that's still going to be better to me than having like four little pieces. And that's not always the case. Sometimes we need those little micro learning activities. But if we're really looking, like, look around the world. I'm obsessed with what people do in their free time. No one jumps onto an LMS to do flashcards in their free time. People go to things like Netflix, they go to PlayStation or whatever. It's so like, if we can look around at these examples that are out there for free and you start to integrate those into what we're doing in learning and development, like, that's the key. It's right there in front of us and what we're seeing in society now around the world. So if we can tap into those, and again, these things, Netflix, whether it's making a show, making a movie, making the interface for Netflix itself, certainly building a video game, those things don't happen in 10 minutes. They take years, they take months. So to me, like, learning and development, it's okay if something takes at least months. I don't know if we're quite ready for people to do years worth just yet, but like, this is okay to slow. As much as I love to work fast and produce things that we can as quickly as possible, there's a huge benefit in slowing down, and tools like Storyline are that vehicle that can let us do it, because the product's going to show, hey, if we slow it down, there's a difference between my homemade movie I made in my basement and something Steven Spielberg's doing. Steven Spielberg is Storyline. I don't even remember what the price is, but yes. So yeah, it definitely delivers great value. There's no question about it. For the time that I spend in this software and that my team spends in this software, there's no question it's worth the value. It's a simple answer. Yeah. Yeah, very happy with the products and the feature set. I think there's even times where I've thought like, oh, I don't think this does this. I'll go to the e-learning heroes, or I'll contact the support team, who are just like beyond fantastic. And there's always like a way to do it. There's always a way to sort it out. And then what's cool about the support team is they will a lot of times take those ideas and they'll send it off to like, hey, we're going to consider this as like a feature add-on in a future update. So I think that's really great too. Yeah, so tremendously happy with the feature. Like I said, I think the saving of the states would be the one thing. If it had it in there, it really would have just about everything you'd ever need. I'm curious to see, as like AI assistant continues to grow. I was talking to Ashley, who I think is the director of the support team. I was asking her if like AI is ever going to be able to like work with trigger, or if like there's a plan to work with triggers, states and layers. And I think that would be a really cool thing. Like, imagine asking AI to like, okay, so I need to create a trigger that does X, Y, and Z. And the AI just builds you that trigger into the trigger section. Same thing with states. Like, I have this button, I want it to do this, but when you hover over it, I want it to do this. And we can do this manually, but it just takes time. So like, that would be a huge time saver. And I think, again, an AI assistant to even create JavaScript, which of course you can do outside of the tool, but to have that integrated in for people like on our team who do not know JavaScript, to say, hey, I need to develop something that can, tally up these numbers or something like this, and just kind of do that through an AI assistant would be a super cool addition. But the feature set's amazing. The AI assistant looks really, really cool, and I'm excited to continue to use it. Yeah, I would say for sure it lives up to the promises that Articulate made to us. It's delivered what we wanted. It's done a lot more. Like I said, we looked at it kind of just casually, comparing some options. I think on my team, I've probably been using it the most, and certainly like the deepest, just because I've had a little bit more time in my role than like some of our instructional designers, for instance. But it's certainly delivering. What's cool is it's always being updated. It receives updates like very, very consistently, and the updates are meaningful. They're not just like fixing bugs, but they're adding new features as you go. I really like too that it's not like every year you have to buy the new version. Like it's just like a rolling updates year after year. And so it just runs very, very efficiently. It's very, very smooth how that all works. And of course helps our workflow. Yeah, I think implementation truthfully went a little bit slow. There is a little bit of a learning curve with the software, but don't let it deter you. It's not, again, you don't have to be a computer scientist to use this, far from it. That's probably the best feature of Storyline, is that it's easy to get into even from the start. And you're going to kind of tinker around a little bit, but once you start to get some momentum built, and once you understand that there's a support system out there from their support team, from the e-learning heroes community and more, you will start to pick up steam like a train on the tracks. I mean, you just get moving and it'll be really hard to stop. I would buy the product again. Absolutely. I'm actually really curious to like what's going to be the next thing. Like what's the next storyline? Like you have Storyline 360 now, but like what's that going to look like and what's it going to be? And oh, there's so much out there. And so whatever it is, yeah, our team will be signing up for sure. So like the very basic stuff like Microsoft Office we use all the time. Um, we don't really use a ton of other software. Oh yeah, I mean top of the line. I would absolutely recommend Microsoft Office. I mean you can't really survive any industry if you don't know how to use Office. So yeah, definitely recommend it.